Okay, Andy, so I was thinking that for our next video, What you doing? Yeah, but we record videos together. That's kind of like our thing. I mean, the lighting looks good though. But, are we wearing the same thing right now? You even did your makeup like me, that's weird. Are you supposed to be me? Is that what I... Is that also supposed to be me? Is that really how we're... That's how we're gonna play it. Welcome to the first episode of my Halloween series that I'm calling Dark Deeds and Demons. Today we are going to be talking about the Southend Werewolf, or Bill Ramsey. But my lovely assistant over here, Andy, has already made the beginning announcements. This is just the Halloween series. I hope that you guys are going to enjoy that. I did have one other aspect of the Halloween series, and that is... It's very hard to work with these gloves. A shot. It is a pumpkin pie shot. So let's... Oh, God. Give that a solid 5 out of 10. Moving on. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about Bill Ramsey, who is also known as the Southend Werewolf. Now, Bill was born in 1943 in the Southend of Essex, England. His early life is said to have been pretty normal. He lived with both of his parents, and they lived a rather middle-class life. One day, though, when he was 9 years old in 1952, Bill was playing outside like he normally did. He said he felt strange. An icy wind passed over him, which was strange because it was a warm day. The sudden change in temperature made Bill start to sweat, but because of the chill wind, the sweat froze to his skin. Bill himself later said, "Have you ever walked into a meat locker right after you've been outside on a hot day? That's what it was like." The wind also brought along an overpowering smell, which caused Bill to be physically ill. There was a psychological effect to the wind too, and not just a physical one. Bill was suddenly filled with the desire to run towards the ocean on all fours like an animal. He also had continuous visions of wolves. His mother saw that there was something wrong with her son and ran out to help him break out of the trance he was stuck in. However, that did not help. Bill's thoughts changed to violence and rage. Bill, in a seeming fit of almost superhuman strength, began ripping fence posts out of the ground and swinging them at his parents. Now, his parents were scared, but did try to get the fence post away from him, but were unable to break his grip. They were terrified, but had no idea what to do, and they left Bill on his own, and his parents fled back into the house with the sounds of growling and snarling following them. Bill just watched them leave and put the metal fence post in his mouth to chew on it like an animal would. Eventually, the episode ended and Bill was let back inside the home, reluctantly, as his parents were still terrified. His parents tended to his wounds he received from biting the metal fence. After this time, his parents decided that it was never to be discussed again. The next 15 years went by without incident, and it was as if nothing had ever happened. He grew up, got married, became the father to 3 children. He was said to have been a doting father who adored his children. Unfortunately, shortly after he got married, he would begin to have terrible nightmares. Nightmares about him chasing his wife, and the dream would end with his wife turning to look at him with a terrified expression on her face. On some occasions, after he woke up, he thought he could hear a wild animal somewhere in his room, but he realized that the sound he could hear was coming from his own throat. However, in 1967, just 2 years after his wedding, the dream stopped, and he was able to return to being a loving family man, and the next 15 years, once again, went by without another incident. One night when he was out to a pub with his friends having a few drinks, he once again felt that icy wind that he felt all those years ago. He was overtaken by a feeling of nausea and he ran to the bathroom, but when he looked in the mirror, he saw a wolf staring back at him. Bill came out of the bathroom and convinced his friends that they needed to leave, which they all did. They all got back into the car they came to the bar in, but on the drive, Bill began to growl. He began to shape his hands in the form of claws and suddenly lunged at the other passengers, biting and clawing at them. The driver pulled over and everyone tried to get Bill out of the car. They were able to get him out of the car, and after a few minutes, Bill was back to normal and claiming that he had no memory of what had happened in the car. He tried to just forget what had happened until another incident occurred a year and a half later. Bill had chest pains and was sweating profusely. He was concerned he was having a heart attack, so he checked himself into the emergency room. However, while he was laying on the gurney, he felt an icy wind, and he turned to the nurse that was taking his vitals, and he bit her on the arm. Bill then got up and ran through the hospital. His back was hunched and his hands were curled into claws. He was baring his teeth and growling as he went. Several people were of course trying to stop him, but he easily got away with this superhuman strength. He was handcuffed at one point by a police officer, but he still continued this rampage. Eventually, a couple staff members were able to sedate him. After he woke up from sedation, he was perfectly fine and couldn't remember anything that had happened. 2 months later, Bill returned to the same hospital when the icy winds started to make him feel ill once again. Everyone at the hospital was terrified, and he was being referred to as the Southend Werewolf. Bill had tried to attack a nurse and orderly that were helping him, but there were some police officers that were on site that were able to restrain Bill. One of the officers was severely injured in the attack, however, and he had to remain in the hospital for 4 days. As for Bill, he was arrested and taken into custody, but he was released when he was back to normal. In 1987, Bill was once again headed to the police station. This time, it was because he had met a young prostitute and he was going to take her to the police station. On the way to the station, though, this young girl saw Bill began to curl his hands into claws and growl at her, which scared her so much she jumped out of the car and ran to the station on her own. This enraged Bill and he went after her. At the police station, an officer was trying to calm him down, but when he touched Bill's arm, Bill jumped on the officer and tried to strangle him, yelling out, "The devil is in me, I'm going to kill you." It took 6 officers to subdue him. He was then taken to the hospital for 10 days of tests to determine what was wrong with him, however no cause was found. Ed and Lorraine Warren, demonologist, heard about Bill Ramsey and felt that he was being possessed by a werewolf demon. They offered their services, but Bill was very reluctant to go see them, but he eventually conceded and made the trip to Connecticut. His episodes were becoming more frequent, more intense, and were lasting longer, so he agreed to meet with the Warrens' specialist, Bishop Robert McKenna. The night before the exorcism, Bill was overcome by another episode and tried to strangle his wife. The first half hour of the exorcism was uneventful, but Bill suddenly began to display his claws again and was growling and snarling at the bishop. The bishop demanded that the demon leave Bill's body at once. After this statement, Bill became enraged, more enraged than anyone had ever seen him, but then he stopped and was calm in an instant. 1992 marked Bill's last public appearance, where he said that the exorcism had worked and he had no incidents since. That is all that I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode. It was a little bit different. I don't know if I'd consider it like a true crime case, but it was super interesting to research, not one that I'd ever heard about before. But this is kind of what I'm going to be doing for this series, is more vampires and werewolves. Some of the other cases that I cover are actually more murdery and true crime-esque with actual victims. It's just the name of the killer was something werewolf vampire. You get the idea. Tomorrow I'm actually going to be covering Elizabeth Bathory. For those of you who don't know, she's also known as the Bloody Countess. It is assumed that she had like 650 victims. So that is what I'm going to be covering tomorrow. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. A little bit shorter of a video. I think I did record this 2 separate days and 2 separate videos. So I'm not 100% sure how long it is, but obviously you guys do. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was really interesting to research. I've been wanting to talk about this one for a long time, so it was just perfect timing. So yeah. And this was like a 5 out of 10. It was okay, it wasn't great. Maybe my first short will actually be what the reaction to me drinking that was, because that was not good. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.